You're a physician looking to be inspired, you're looking for change in your personal life, your professional life, or both. And you only trust those who have been where you've been. Not only that, but you might also have an idea for a business and don't know how to do it or just want a little push. If this is you, you are right at the right spot. Hi there, I'm Dr. Myrdalis Diaz-Ramirez, and this is the Design Your Physician Life podcast. Welcome to this episode brought to you by our Maxillary Mastermind, an exclusive mastermind and development program for those who want to learn about entrepreneurship. Today, we have a very special guest, Dr. Latifat Alli-Akintade from MoneyFit MD. We have a great conversation with Dr. Akintade about designing your recession-proof financial life. Are you ready? Let's go.
Welcome to the Design Your Physician Life podcast, where you will get excited about being a physician, learn the tools that can help boost your success, and great tips from successful doctors. Join us to unlock the keys to an amazing physician life. And now, here's your host, Dr. Myrdalis Diaz-Ramirez.
Hey guys, I'm super excited today. I've been wanting to meet her for the longest time, and today she's here. Is Dr. Latifat Alli-Akintade. She is a physician, but also she's the mama of three. She's creator of the MoneyFit MD podcast and money coaching school for women physicians. She combines her interest in personal finance and her skills as a life coach and love for humans to teach women physicians how to create wealth from the inside out. She's on a mission to empower women physicians financially so they can live well and fulfill their dreams within and outside of medicine. Thank you, Dr. Latifat Alli-Akintade, for being here at Design Your Physician Life podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. It is such a pleasure to get to chat with you and have as many, whatever number of minutes we have together to share with your audience, whatever I hope will be of value to them.
Thank you. And we're calling today. We're talking. You're in Sacramento. I'm here in Florida. And last week you were here with a couple of other female physicians in Florida having fun. Can you tell us a little bit about those two other ladies?
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. So I am a physician, and I think one of the most valuable parts that I appreciate so much in life are my relationships. And I have so many very different relationships, like so many different ones. And this past weekend was just a great time. This is two physicians that are also in the entrepreneurial space. They're also mamas, they're busy, they have businesses, they love physicians, they want physicians to thrive. And so we've been talking about doing this for a couple of months. We pretty much, message every day, and we decided to do it. And it was so much. It was, it's funny, like we had so much fun that we're trying to describe to each other what this was. We're like, okay, was this a retreat? Was this a mastermind? And we just decided that it is.
It's girl time.
It was just everything. And those women are so rich in quality, rich in life, rich in love, that it was everything that my soul needed and all of our souls needed and more. So I'm excited for what we're doing. I'm excited for how we're going to keep impacting physicians and helping physicians just be well, improve wellness, improve financial liberation and freedom. And no, it was everything plus massage.
Oh my goodness. At the beach.
Oh, of course. Oh my goodness. It would be inappropriate to fly all the way to Florida and not be close to the beach. Oh my
God. Exactly. So let's talk about, because this is you, 2022, having these achievements of meeting these wonderful women in the same space here, mentors for all of us, having your private little retreat, your private little mastermind at the beach with. But what was young Latifat thinking? The little kid, the college girl, and how did that one transition into medicine, and then eventually to get you to MoneyFit, and eventually to get you to fulfilling these amazing dreams you're living right now?
It's always interesting when I think back at this. And I was speaking with a group of pre-med students this past week, and they asked me a similar question. So it really got me going down memory lane. So I'm primed for this. So I grew up in Nigeria. I moved here about 20 something years. And for me, when I was growing up, there was no one in my family that was a physician. And so it wasn't like I wanted to be a physician because I saw people being physicians. I wanted to be a physician because I was young, I was naive, I looked around, and there were experiences that I was having in healthcare that I didn't quite love. And I was like, oh, I can do better. And my parents didn't go to college or anything like that, but they heard me say that and they sort of like latched onto it and kind of like helped me continue to nurture that interest over the course of my life. So I did the whole sciences in school. This is back in Nigeria. And then when I was 18 was when I moved here. So I moved here with the intention of becoming a physician. And, that was my goal. But I was very fortunate enough that I opened up my mind to the fact that there could be other opportunities that I was not aware of. But even with considering all those other opportunities, medicine kept on coming back to me. And the reason why is I truly, like a lot of physicians, we just want to help people. We get a lot of joy and satisfaction from helping people. And I was the middle child, but I think I was a little bit responsible at a young age. And I just had that being taking care of other people mindset. And so with medicine, it was sort of like a natural course. It's when I never considered nursing, I never considered physical therapy or anything like that. I was just like, I want to be a physician. I also I'm a little bossy, so I like to like do my own thing and make my own rules. So
tell me one of us who isn't bossy. Tell me one of us.
We know ourselves.
Exactly.
Right?
So then you were bossy and you continued like thinking about medicine.
And I continued medicine. I went through undergrad in LA. I went to UCLA, and then I went to UCSF in San Francisco. And then, it's interesting. When I got to med school, I thought I was going to be a primary care doctor. I thought I was going to be a pediatrician because those are the people that have made some of the biggest visible impact in my life. And also, there is importance of representation matters. And a lot of the physicians that I saw that looked like me were primary care physicians or pediatricians. And it actually wasn't until third year of medical school that I was in the OR during surgery. And I was like, oh my goodness, I love procedures, right? And then at some point I was, studying, and I realized that I could read about diverticulitis forever. And nobody likes doing that. And so I had this.
You're crazy. You're crazy. Yeah. Bossy and crazy. Am. Diverticulitis, reading forever.
See, that's how you know your thing, right? But for me, those things, like I had what felt like crisis where I'm like, oh my goodness, this is an identity thing. Like people like me don't do GI. People like me don't do this other stuff. But, I trust in the power of God. I trust in the power of where we're meant to fall, where we're meant to be. And I'm so glad that I continued on that journey because now I am a board certified gastroenterologist. I've been in practice for about 6 or 7 years. And it truly is a privilege to do what I get to do in medicine with my patients. It's not perfect, but I truly believe that it's a privilege to do what we do.
That's awesome. I'm glad that there's gastroenterologists board certified who love endless readings about diverticulitis. Yeah.
Someone's got to do it.
Do you get as excited with diverticulosis?
Sure. Sure.
Yeah. Awesome.
It's funny when they bleed, looking for the source of bleed. Yes, I try to find it.
You got it. Yes. So you were there, you became a gastroenterologist and you were doing like so wonderful because you really love being, this allowed to for you to develop your skills and interests and all these things. And you mentioned there that your parents didn't really go through college, right?
Mm-hmm, they did not.
And they moved here with you from Nigeria?
No, so my dad used to spend some more time here. But when we moved here, they stayed in Nigeria. It was not a good time for them. So my siblings and I, 5 of us moved here and we stayed with an aunt in LA for a little bit. Unfortunately, my dad passed last year in July. No, thank you. But no, they did not move here with us, but they've always gone back and forth.
And did they teach you anything about money fitness?
Nope. Nobody taught me anything about money. And in fact, it wasn't until the end, I was starting attendantship, when I realized, I said, okay, I've done all the stuff to get here. My family has sacrificed all the stuff. There was a time I didn't see my mother for 5 years, right? All of those people sacrificed all those. We've all made our sacrifices so I can be a physician. However, opened my eyes and looked around the landscape of medicine, and I saw so much burnout. And so here I am thinking, I love GI. I'm going to be focusing in inflammatory bowel diseases, which is best in an academic or large hospital system. And I knew I was going to be working for someone. And if you're working for someone, you're at higher risk for burnout. So I'm like, all those people, and I didn't sacrifice all that just so I can be a burnout, overworked mother. I had 2 kids at that point. And I knew that it was going to be, if I did not get my money stuff sorted out, that was exactly what was going to happen. So I didn't know anything about money. I didn't even know how much I owed. I didn't know how much student debt I had. I didn't know what a 401k was. I didn't know any of that stuff until after I became an attendant about 6 years ago. And the only reason why I started learning was what I just told you. I did not want to be a burnt out, disempowered mom, because everything that we've done, and this is me and this is every physician, we've sacrificed so much. We've given so much of our time, our relationships. We've missed Thanksgiving. We've missed Christmas. We've missed our kids first. We didn't do all that so we can be burnt out. And so for me, money was really a solution that I was going to use as a tool for my own freedom and liberation, to always have the power of choice, to always have the power to practice medicine in a way that I believe is ethical, in a way that I believe is right for me and my family.
And where did you start looking at? Like, you're right now attending physician, just graduated in an academic position, and you saw burnout around you. Did you see also success around you during that period of time?
To be honest with you, I saw success in the room. I saw physicians that were smart, that were amazing, that were clinicians, that inspired me to be a great clinician. However, when it came to what I wanted to model my life as, unfortunately, I didn't see much. And and that's why I have a lot of gratitude, because sometimes what you see in your immediate environment becomes the inspiration for you. So when you don't see, you may lack that inspiration. So for me, when I was even applying for jobs, I didn't apply for full-time. I said I wanted to do 0.8 FTE because, again, I knew that I did not want to burn out. That was my main thing. And I remember meeting people on interviews, like attending physicians that are like, oh yeah, we've been waiting for 3 years to go down from full-time to 0.8 FTE because we're told it's not a good time yet, right? And so they were surprised that I was so clear about what I needed. And I have a lot of gratitude for that. So I had physicians that inspired me clinically, but in terms of like living a well-balanced life, a financially liberated life, it was very, very lacking, unfortunately.
But at the beginning, it's amazing because one of the things that you were clear was on your principles and your vision, which allowed you to choose your path and design your path. You were there saying, this is what I want. I don't want to be burned out, right? Like you had your why defined, you had your principles, the way that you wanted to live, and then you chose it from the beginning, more or less, because really most of us wait for years after we graduated to really think about these things. You're like just going, mine very, very narrow tunnel down the way. And you say that you didn't see the money, the financial education within medicine. Where did you reach? What were your first resources to learn about this?
Google. I Googled a lot. And prior to that, I avoided money conversations because unfortunately, there's a lot of judgment when it comes to money and lots of shaming. If you don't know it, people judge, even though no one's ever taught you before. You just assumed to know it. And when you voice out that you don't know it, there's a voice like a disdain. And that was stuff that actually makes it harder for women and for people in general to do money and look at money because nobody wants to be shamed. So for me, it was a lot of like Googling, like what's a budget? How do you budget? Ooh, I hate budgeting. And the thing is, a lot of the financial education material out there can be very one-minded and one version. You have to love math. You have to love spreadsheets. You have to be willing to live like a resident forever. You have to be able to cut off everything joyful in life about spending and just grind it. And I'm like, listen, I'm a mama of 2. I'm not about that life. I want to do it, but I want to do it in a way that doesn't feel like I'm punching myself in the face every day. So honestly, I had to look at what was out there, and I had to soften it and make it apply more to my life and have more of a feminine touch than the more 2D, one-size-fits-all module that was out there. But a lot of what I had to do was a lot of Google and learning and just asking, what do I want to know? This and failing at it and doing it wrong, but forgiving myself as I made all the wrong moves.
I don't hear fast firing, in your in your language there. You're not about that, huh?
There's no one size fits all. I'm not about that life. And the reason why is because I don't like when we talk about burnout and unwellness, right? There is systems in medicine and things in medicine that has increased that. There are also things that we have been cultured into that has become our own that also participates in burnout culture. However, anytime you're trying to like hyper rush and hyper run, I mean, I've literally met people that are burnt out from working like crazy because they're trying to fast fire. And I'm like, a lot of us do like medicine. A lot of us do love medicine. And maybe we can find a way to do that in a way that is healthy for us while looking for ways to diversify our income source. So we don't think we have to grind to the death. I've literally met people that are like not seeing their kids because they're just like so focused on that stuff. And there's no one size fits all. But however, the thing that I tell people is you have to be very, very careful. The worst time to get into a relationship is when you're breaking up with one, because you can go from frying pan to fire. And the same thing applies when it comes to finances and money, is if you hate your life so much that all you're doing is just focusing on running as fast, you are going to grind. You're not going to sleep well. There's a lot of unwellness. There's suicide in medicine. I'm not saying fast fire leads to that, but you can have a balance between actually having that money and growing it in a very short amount of time too, without having the super focus, ignore everything else in life, ignore everything joyful in life, so that you can do this in like 1 year. And the funny thing is, what I find is when I tell people to slow down, they actually get there faster.
You get time to think, you
They
get
get there
time to
faster.
reconnect. You take time to like really create the pathways that you need to do this. When you Googled and you found these things and you said, oh, no, this is not my way. I'm going to do it this other way. And then after that, how did you start connecting with communities of people who were just more along those lines of, let's go create, passive income. Let's go and create these resources for me so I can live my life under my terms. It's not in medicine. It's not Google. Where did you go next? For those type of people, just like-minded people like you?
It actually took me a while to do that because I didn't really trust people. And not that I don't trust people, but you don't have to live under a rock to know that there's sexism, there's racism. And unfortunately, a lot of spaces in medicine is not built with physicians of color in mind. So, it's sometimes going into spaces can feel really unsafe for many people, and minorities. And so for me, a lot of it was doing it alone at first. I did it alone for a long time. And what I focused on was I didn't do anything fancy. I just, I did a lot of the stock market, index funds, boring, not yo-yo, not get rich quicks.
Not like diverticulitis, Come on. That was so boring.
That's so funny. Right. I didn't do anything like crazy. I just did something smooth, something easy. And what happened was that as I was learning this, because initially I thought I was the only one that had that struggle, I started finding there were people that had the struggles even locally, and people would reach out. My friends were reaching out. They were asking for help. And all this time, remember, my goal was to be a physician, a badass physician. At no point did I think about business or doing any of this other stuff. So I wasn't looking for communities. I was just trying to solve my own problem and help people in my own local area, like people that reach out to me. And then people started telling people to reach out to me, and I was just helping them. And honestly, it wasn't until the pandemic, actually, early pandemic happened, was when I started getting more into communities. And the reason why I started getting into communities was because I was, the pandemic was happening. Physicians were worried about money. Physicians were losing their income. Even physicians that were getting clinical income from the same source were worried about money. And I had zero worry about money. And what that did was I was able to worry about the things that were important, like health, like my kids' mental health in the middle of a pandemic, my parents' safety, our safety, finding N95s, and those things. At no point did I worry about money. And I had this moment where I was like, I felt like I had no choice, honestly, because I'm like, this is a tool that I have. This is a skill set that I have. it almost feels like I had no choice but to start helping people with it. And that's how MoneyFit MD started to breathe. And then over time, it was still hard for me to trust people because again, a lot of us guide ourselves, we guide our hearts, right? You don't want to go into places where you feel like you're going to be, your voice is going to be deemed to be inferior, where you're going to be judged by the color of your skin. And unfortunately, that happens a lot in medicine. So I did hold back for a lot of time. And I would not lie to you, it was really over the last 2 years where, with George Floyd and all those other things that has brought conversations out into the open of what people are going through, what physicians in medicine are going through, what women of color in medicine are going through, is when people have checked their bias a little bit more. And we've been able to talk a little bit more openly about this stuff. And that is what has made it feel a little bit safer to get into communities. And I'm being completely honest with you.
Well, I'm glad that we've had that transition. It's been extremely painful. It took so many things, like you're talking about George Floyd and the pandemic, for us to finally find, these communities where we can really express ourselves and get together. And I have to say that that's the period, I think it's of an awakening. It's like, it's been an awakening for so many people because we had the chance just to pause. The world paused, and then we had a break to take care, let's explore life. And precisely because of the pandemic, looking back, it's like really fast fire is a way of living that it gets you there faster, but that doesn't guarantee that you're going to get there anyways. Life is short and unpredictable and uncertain, and we don't know what's going to happen. In this case, you have created MoneyFit. You say that you wanted to be a very good GI doctor. Badass, I guess you said. And then, but now you have MoneyFit MD. So did you see yourself, when did you realize that it wasn't wasn't only for yourself, but that you were really becoming an entrepreneur, building this MoneyFit MD after people telling you, hey, help me there, blah, blah, blah. And then you decided, okay, no, you know what? This is just too many people. I'm going to create MoneyFit MD and I'm going to help these many more people. And now I'm an entrepreneur. When did you realize that?
That was the evolution. And it wasn't really, again, it was really the pandemic that I realized that, okay, this was a need that was big and I had a solution. I had already helped people at that point. It just didn't call it a business because, I wasn't really trying to do a business. But at first, what I just said was, I can help one person. So I was like, you know what? I mean, for the longest time, actually, on Facebook, my name wasn't even my real name on Facebook. That is how much I don't actually like being seen. And people find that surprising right now because they're like, what? You don't like being seen? We see you everywhere. But the bottom line is I was not the person that wanted to be seen. I'm a middle child. I want to hide. I want to fit in. I want to crawl into a hole so that nobody knows that I exist, right? That was literally the story of my life. And it was a story for my entrepreneurship. But my desire, my understanding the power of the tools that I had, and my desire to help and decrease pain and suffering was the why that made me literally get my crap together and just start from where I was. And what I did was I hired a coach. I was like, a private coach one-on-one. I was like, I need help with this. I don't know that I want to do this. I think I should do this, but I don't do podcasting. I don't do talking. I don't do all that. And it was sort of like just the baby steps of just start by starting. And the funny thing is, people talk about podcasts and vlogs. For me, I was so scared of it that I was like, if I was going to do it, go big or go home. So I started with a vlog. I was like, I'm just going to start with video and, just do the hard thing, like just pull the tape off. And so that's how I started. But it definitely has taken evolution. But one thing that I'm big on is self-kindness. I don't take that for granted. I believe that my life truly matters more than anything that I do. Like me as a human, my core matters more than MoneyFit MD, more than my role as a physician. I'm a mom, I'm a human, I'm a sister. And so I really try to, emphasize and prioritize kindness. So everything that I've done with MoneyFit MD, it's not been easy for sure. It's taken a lot of growth. But self-kindness has been a big part of my motto. And in fact, we're recording this right now. I'm just finishing up a 5-day event that I've been doing. And it's the Recession-Rx program, where, again, we're here again in this recession that is already started. Physicians are not prepped. Physicians are hiding. We're dreading. And I'm like, the people that are super wealthy are not hiding. How can I bring some of that here so that we are not hiding, so that we can decrease some of the disparities that exist with money? So that is why I did the Recession-Rx event, that again started with like an idea for a podcast and became this event where I think I had about 200 and I don't know, 70 something people in the group. And it's like we've been doing interviews, streaming, teaching, educating, and it's been so empowering to see women physicians come in there to get the help they need. And so it truly is a privilege to do all the things that I get to do, to be honest with you.
That's awesome. Let's just get, quickly three things of each. 1, 3 problems that you see physicians coming with, then 3 tips you have from them, and then 3 takeouts from your Recession-Rx conference.
All right. So I did not call it a conference. I'll tell you what I called it. I call it a gathering because I like gatherings. I'm like, I don't like people talking at me in a conference. I don't want a summit. Sounds like, you're going to get there and you see a bunch of like dudes in suits. So no. So I call it the Recession-Rx gathering for women physicians, where we gather and talk and equip and empower and say, don't hide. So going to your question, the very first one is, what are 3 common problems that I see? The number one problem that I see is we think that other people are going to do a better job than us when it comes to our money. And so that could be like a financial advisor, that could be like a spouse, could be a partner, right? And the reason for that is not because those people are evil or cannot be trusted. But the thing is, as physicians, we know that we are kind-minded. We want to help our patients. However, we know that when our patients come in empowered and educated, it can sometimes affect our decision-making for the positive. And the same thing exists when it comes to money. If all you're doing is trusting someone without empowering yourself with knowledge, how do you know they're making the best decision for you, right? And I cannot tell you, even I had a financial advisor, and I'm not saying financial advisors are bad, but deferring to them completely without you educating yourself is also not being fair to them. So when I had an advisor, I didn't know anything about money. I thought I could just let someone else take care of it. And eventually I found out that the money that I was investing myself without even knowing what the heck I was doing much better than the money that they were investing for me. I also found out that they were investing in things that were not necessarily in my own best interest, and their fees was literally cutting a lot out of my bottom line without me even knowing it. So essentially, I was doing better without them when it came to the money that I was investing. So that is part of the reason why I tell people that you cannot defer completely to someone else. I would say in my money school, I probably would say about 30% of my women are divorced. And we have to learn from people, right? I cannot tell you how many times they're like, my spouse, especially my husband, was the one in charge of the money, I trusted them with the money. And sometimes it's like, well, now they're gone. And a lot of the women, unfortunately, didn't get a fair payout with their divorce because they were so uncomfortable around money that they were in a rush to have the conversation. Some of them also are like, well, now that I'm by myself, I thought my spouse was doing better with the money and I will trust it that they were doing a good job. But now that I looked at the finances, they were actually doing a sucky job. So the number one problem that I see is we think that someone else is going to be able to do it for us. And we think that deferring it is going to be the best option because we're afraid. We think it's hard, even though we're women physicians and we do crazy stuff all day.
We know about that.
Yeah. So that's number one thing that I see for us. Number two thing that I see is we assume that it has to be one way or the highway, right? There is, and that was part of the challenge that I had as well when it came to money, was that I thought that if I could not fit into the money rules, I was doing it wrong. I thought that I had to do it perfectly in that way, otherwise I was doing it wrong. And now a lot of what I teach women physicians is we just get to learn the rules, we get to start, and you get to figure out which one of them you want to take and which one of them you want to ditch. And it's always funny because sometimes I have people come into the community where They've been trying to do this stuff. Maybe they've been trying to do real estate for like 2 years or 3 years. They're waiting for the perfect time. They're waiting for all this. And then my challenge to them is, why don't we find the imperfect time and do it? And then within like 3 months, they're like up and running. They're investing in like syndications. They're doing like active real estate. So the point is doing it imperfectly and knowing that you don't have to fit into this perfect, stereotypical one size fits all that we've been taught that money is. So you can make the money your own. And that's the number 2 thing that I found. And the number 3 thing that I'm also going to share is people not understanding money. A lot of us, depending on where you were born, where you were raised, who you've been surrounded with, we always assume that in order to make money, it's going to take a lot of time and it's going to take a lot of your time. And that is one of the reasons why people think that they are going to wait for this magical time in their life where they're not going to be busy, which is never going to happen, by the way, in order to start taking care of their finances. So I see women that are avoiding, delaying because they're like, I'm so busy right now. And what we don't understand or what we forget is that we are busy because we're thinking that we have to make money actively, right, with our time only. But then when you actually, in the midst of your business, go back to my point 2 of starting where you can start from imperfectly, many of those women are actually able to start doing money in a way that works for them. And suddenly they can create the time and suddenly they maybe actually be overworking compared to what they were before. So thinking that we need time is a big limiting factor because then it assumes that you have to give your time and money in exchange for each other. And the reason why is because that's how we earn money clinically for the most part. You see a patient, that's how you get paid, right? And we assume that it's the same for the rest of the world. And I'm like, I shop on Amazon. I've never seen Jeff Bezos come deliver my stuff, right? So, you can create systems, you can find passive ways. And the way you do that is by learning, by finding communities, by leveraging your relationships and making sure that people can point you in the right direction.
That's awesome. We've had actually more than 3 major problems that we have with physicians, and only physicians, more in detail with women physicians. Unfortunately, that's a high number of 30% of women divorce and not being able to really manage their financials immediately after that big, huge change in their lives. Then we moved on into solutions, and solutions, you've provided them for each one of these things, which is amazing. Let's talk about your gathering. You had so many people come there to your gathering, and it's a big, important topic. We're in the midst of it. We're not ready. Most of us are not going to be ready for that. Tell us about your big takeouts from this gathering you had about the recession.
Absolutely. And, it's funny, the idea for the Recession RX actually came when I was at a conference. I was at a Tony Robbins event in person a few months ago with some physician colleagues and friends. And, as we were talking over there, I just noticed that the energy was great. And then I compared it with some of the energy of the conversations that I've had with physicians. And physicians are like, oh, no, the recession is going to be bad. You got to go hide, like almost like a victim mentality where it's like this stuff that we have no control over is going to happen to us. And we just have no choice but to hide and all that good stuff. Right. And so when I compare that energy to what the energy of people that were more successful were doing, I'm like, there is a huge difference. And there's no reason why physicians should be taking care of patients. We're doing our best. And that is not a reason why we should be now having worsened wealth disparities, even within physicians versus non-physicians outside in terms of like what we could do. Because ultimately we know that money is a tool. And when physicians have money in their hands, we can do a lot of things. We can advocate, we can vote, we can promote things that are in line and in favor of the health of our patients. We need more physicians in places of power. And if we have a lot of money, we can support them financially and even do things like supporting their campaign. So I think it's important for us to have money. So what I decided was I was going to do a talk, which I did a talk. And then after that, I was like, you know what? I have all those humans and amazing people around me that I had the privilege of getting to know and becoming friends with. How about I asked them for what they were doing in order to be prepared for the recession? So I pretty much closed my eyes and I started thinking about people that I wanted to talk to about that. And then that evolved into closing my eyes and thinking, okay, if there's a recession, what do people need to be prepped? They need a therapist. Okay, I need to make sure I have a therapist come talk about things you can do to be prepped. They need strategies. They need money, and they need different parts of that. So I wasn't going after like, oh, getting like people that were well-known or anything. I was very strategic about what I needed the picture to look like in my head for what I believe every physician needs, every woman physician needs.
It was like
And
a comprehensive approach to the problem.
it has to be. Yes. So it has to be comprehensive. So talking about like microeconomics, talking about like making decisions, talking about all those things, right? Because I truly wanted women to come in there and leave feeling like, I got this, I'm ready. And that was exactly what we did. And I'm so glad that I did it. It's finishing right now. Actually, like yesterday, I'm going to have a Q&A because some of them are thinking about joining our community, like a longitudinal community with me, where that is what I do, help women physicians be prepped with their finances. And to share some key takeaway is, number one is understanding, right? A lot of times we're afraid of things we don't understand. And you're more likely to not understand it if you don't surround yourself by people that understand it. And I know that not everybody is privileged to be in those environments, just the same way I was 6 years ago, where I wasn't privileged then to have access to those conversations. And so part of it is we have to understand the cycles of life. The cycles of life, the same way women have like, ovulation and all this other stuff throughout the month. We know that through our life, there's up and down. There's always seasons. If there's a year where we skip summer, we're all going to go into the apocalypse, right? Or global warming, and things like that. So there are seasons in life. We always have summer, we have fall, we have
That's
winter.
like Jim Rohn talking right there.
I'm sorry?
That's like Jim Rohn talking right
Oh,
there.
really? Oh, really?
Yeah, Jim Rohn.
Right? So
Jim Rohn was the
seasons.
mentor for Tony Robbins. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. But that's the bottom line, right? There's seasons in life. So when we understand that, it is a no-brainer that the house prices that's been going sky up, it's not going to keep going sky up, right? It's a no-brainer that the interest rates that's like abnormally low, that was not normal, abnormally low, was going to go up at some point, right? So when we start to understand cycles of life, the question now becomes, okay, we do this all the time. If you have a garden, you understand. You're not planting corn in a season that it's not going to happen, right? But you're like, okay, where are we? I know that I want to be able to harvest corn I think corn is like in the fall. I don't remember. Whatever. I'm not an agriculturist.
Don't ask me either.
Right? We know that corn is going to come out in the fall. So what
I would have no corn, we would all die with it was for me right
we
now.
don't wait until fall to plant. We plant the season before. Right? We plant it towards the season, towards the end, like towards the season so that it can bloom. And the same thing happens when it comes to finances and even the recession. So number one is understanding that a recession is a normal part of the cycle of life. That's number one, right? This is not something we've never seen before in terms of a recession. It is different. And, depending on how young you are or how old you are, I believe in wisdom and leaning into the wealth of knowledge of those that may have been longer in this world. So one of the people that I had come talk to us is an amazing one of my friends. She's amazing. She built a company, like a financial company from nothing to like billions of dollars under asset management. And she's been in the financial industry for 20 something years. So she can talk about the 3 recessions that we've had and how we can learn from that and things like that. So number one is understanding that cycles happen. And this is a normal part of cycle. This is a normal part of life. Number 2 is this. Every time you have a recession, there is definitely wealth exchange. Millionaires, billionaires, multimillionaires, choose your number, are made during recession. And the way you do that is not by hiding. The way you do that is by planting seeds. You need seeds. You need the soil. You need to know what you're doing. You can't be like me and corn, but you plant seeds during those seasons, and then so that it can germinate and grow, right? It's like if I'm looking at the seed corn that I planted, it may not look like it's sprouting, but I already know that the condition is good, the soil is good, the weather is good, the timing is good. I know that it's only a matter of time before it germinates, but you have to plant. And you don't do that by hiding. You don't do that by hunkering down. You don't do that by surrounding yourself with people that are not going to help you. So that's number 2. Number 3, actually, it's going to be more 3 and 4. And I'm sure you agree with this. One thing that every person, including myself, we're talking about is mindset is important. And number 1 and number 2 has to do with mindset. But also more importantly is the community. Your community will make or break you, right? Who you surround yourself matters. You're the average of the 5 or 6 people you surround yourself with. So if you're surrounding yourself with people that are naysayers, that are going to tell you that you hunker down, you hide, you do all that stuff, you suffer in silence, you will suffer in silence, right? But if you surround yourself with people that understand that, okay, it may be hard, but what are we choosing to be? Who are we going to be? We are choosing to be people that are going to be the light in the world. We're choosing to be the people that are going to take care of our finances so that even when the world is suffering, we don't sit down and cower and suffer. We can be part of the solution. That is the kind of community that's going to help you thrive and be well in the middle of a recession and after a recession. The community you're in determines your temperature, the temperature of the room. And no matter how amazing you are, the temperature is only going to rise to what or fall to what you set the thermometer to. So your community will literally make or break you. So if there's anything that I want you to take home from those 3 things, it is all those 3 things, but literally your community is going to make or break you. And you do have a choice. You have a part to play in what the outcome is, right? And the thing is, I know it's not easy. I'm also asking myself, what resources do I need? I practice what I preach imperfectly, but I try to be as congruent as possible. What communities do I want to be in? Who is my own coach? Because if I'm going to be helping my women and leading my women and being prepped, I want to make sure that I have the strong resources to be able to deliver what I promise. And I want that for my women and every physician so that they can also do that to everybody around them. And that is how we create a movement of people that are well in and outside of a recession.
That's amazing, guys. We could be here for another hour just talking about this. We do have to go shortly. And I want to have people know where they can join your community, because it's all about communities. You said, we have to learn about the Money Fit MD. We have to learn about within that, how it applies to each of our situations within a global perspective of what's going on and the things that we can do. So tell us about how we can get in touch with you and to be knowing more about you and to be within your communities where you go.
Absolutely. So the easiest thing you can do is you can find me on the podcast. You're listening on one right now. So you can just go search the Money Fit MD. So Money FIT MD podcast. I am actually going to be releasing those because I want people, it's been so mind-blowingly amazing. I want people to have access to this information. So go on there, you can subscribe and listen. You'll find some of the Recession RX gathering videos or audios there as well. That's the easiest way for you to find, because I want you to learn and I want you to share with all the humans. We're going to start releasing those next week. I don't know when this is going live, but I want you to learn, share with the non-physicians in your life. We want everybody to be well. So that's one. Number 2 is I believe that my community is everywhere, to be honest with you. I believe that I have a village mentality, and I believe that everything we are, everything we've been given is a gift, not for us to hoard, but for us to share. So if we're friends on Facebook, maybe Facebook algorithm will show your face to me or show me whatever, show us each other. And you can learn and be inspired by some of the things that I share on there. My personal community is a paid community, and it is only for women physicians. And the reason why is because we truly need a safe space to be able to talk with confidence about money, to be able to have a shame-free, judgment-free, women-empowered space where you not only get the financial foundations that you need to learn that I wish someone had taught me years ago, but you also get the coaching and you get, honestly, what I call the best, objectively and subjectively, best money community of women physicians, because my women are the most amazing people. It's funny, I have people join that are like, wow, this is where all the diverse people are talking about money, because I truly believe it's important for us to have a space like that. So if you want to join that, go on my website, moneyfitmd.com. You can click work with me. If you hate everything that I wrote over there, we would not be a good fit. And I did that intentionally so we can know. But if you're like, she's crazy and she's amazing and she loves humans and I want to learn from that, click on there, and there's a way you can schedule a call with someone on my team, and we'll vet you one more time, but you also are vetting us. And if we vibe in each other, then you can come join us in my community.
That's awesome. Thank you very much, Dr. Latifat Alli-Akintade, for being here with us today. Have a great, great day. And we hope to see you soon again.
Thank you for inviting me. It's been a pleasure being here. Everybody, go listen, go change things. One action a day, a week will literally change your life. And if you listen to this podcast, you have what it takes to have money. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise.
Thanks.
Well, guys, that's it for today. Stay tuned for more of our Design Your Physician Life podcast, which was brought to you today by our Max Celery Mastermind, an exclusive mastermind and development program for those who want to learn more about entrepreneurship. We will continue to bring you useful resources to develop your physician entrepreneur life, like we did today with Dr. Latifat Alli-Akintade. You can actually find her, and she has a program called Money Fit MD Money School, and this is at moneyfitmd.com. Thank you for joining us. We hope you had a great time as we did. Stay in touch with us. Visit our website, maxallure.com. That is MAXALLURE. And please don't forget to subscribe us, like us, give us 5 stars, and share the love with your friends and family. See you later. Thanks. Bye.
Please remember that Physine is not providing specific financial, medical, or career advice. Our only intent is to stimulate your appetite for growth by sharing our experience and those of our speakers, coaches, and guests. Your personal growth and success will be unique to your circumstances and your hard work. We sincerely hope you enjoyed the show and look forward to seeing you next week.